Brought to you by Penguin.
Carthage, written and read by me, Eve MacDonald. Introduction. The Burning Pyre. The city is aflame, burning in a Roman blaze after 3 long years of siege. The last holdouts take refuge in the great citadel known as the Byrsa Hill. Among these desperate few is the wife of the commander of Carthage. Her name is not recorded, but we know her husband was Hasdrubal, and she had their 2 children with her. Dressed in her finest clothes, she stands on the ramparts gazing down on the carnage below. She sees her beautiful city in flames, and images of unimaginable chaos, death, and suffering. She is witnessing the final scene of Carthage, the very last moments of the city in the year 146 BCE. For 6 days and nights, Roman soldiers have fought and slaughtered their way from the ports, across the marketplace, to the top of the hill, street by street, facing resistance from the Carthaginian population. So fierce has the resistance been that the Romans had to send in sweepers, whose only job was to push the dead out of the way as more and more reinforcements piled in. The heavily armed infantry, the famed legionaries of the Roman army, have been unrelenting in their destruction. At this moment, the wife of Hasdrubal looks down from the citadel, spots the Roman commander, Scipio Aemilianus, adopted grandson of the famous Scipio Africanus, conqueror of Hannibal. She looks closer and sees her husband, Hasdrubal, has surrendered to him and now kneels at Scipio's feet. The wife of Hasdrubal addresses Scipio directly from the ramparts and, as quoted by the later historian named Appian, says, quote, "For you, Roman, the gods have no cause of indignation, since you exercise the right of war." With these words, she absolves her enemies and their destruction of her city. She continues to call down to the Roman commander, but trains her eyes on her husband, who gets no such absolution. Quote, "Upon this Hasdrubal, betrayer of his country and her temples, of me and his children, may the gods of Carthage take vengeance, and you be their instrument." For Hasdrubal's betrayal is both public, in his role as chief magistrate and defender of Carthage, and personal, as her husband who has failed in his duties. Hasdrubal has forsaken his oaths to the city and her gods, and has left his wife and children to fend for themselves. She calls him a wretch and a traitor, and taunts him with his future of decorating a Roman triumph, being paraded through the streets of Rome as a trophy of war. And finally, she accuses him of being the most effeminate of men, and one who has left his family to be engulfed in flames. With these final words, the last ever spoken by a Carthaginian, she turns and kills her own terrified children, throwing them down into the fire. In her final act, she flings herself after them. The end of Carthage comes with this ultimate statement of death over enslavement, of suicide over capture. So, what was Carthage, and who were the Carthaginians? Why did the Romans destroy them so completely? From the first time I set foot on the place that was ancient Carthage, near the modern city of Tunis in the country of Tunisia, I was fascinated by these questions. The beauty of the place captured me, along with the haunting memories that reside there, and all the many faces of the city. For 600 years, Carthage was a dominant player in the history of the ancient world, and a foundational power of the Western Mediterranean. But its importance was largely erased by the Romans over the centuries after their conquest. Here I've set out to explore the city and lives of its citizens across its long...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?